Hello everyone, welcome back to Odds Now for another Euro 2024 betting preview video. We're previewing Saturday's games today, as you can tell by the title of this video. A number of games to look forward to. I think it's the final day of three matches. I think Matt was telling me off camera there, which is disappointing.
After this weekend, it is the 2 o'clocks have gone, and we're very limited on 5 o'clocks as well. So it's back to reality, I'm afraid, for us saddos.
Yeah, we better make the most of it, of having three games to watch throughout the day. We'll talk through each of those three games now. Matt's going to run us through his feelings ahead of those matches and also what he thinks will be the best bets and where the best value can be found. You can also check out all of our written content, which we're producing over on the website at oddsnow.com. Put a link to that down in the description below. But Matt, we'll get straight into it with the first game, Georgia versus Czech Republic, 2 o'clock kickoff over here in the UK. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think it'll be another good game to watch. Georgia gave a really good account of themselves against Turkey. Unfortunately, did end up just being a little bit outclassed, I think, in key moments. Two wonderful strikes from Turkey to go ahead in that game. Both contenders for goal of the tournament, to be honest. Mert Mulder's volley was probably my favourite, but Arda Güler's strike wasn't bad either. Georgia, like I say, good account of themselves. Mikatadze got them back level, and they had plenty of chances later on to maybe get a point, maybe just lacking that sort of killer instinct. And Turkey are a little bit fragile at the back, as I've mentioned on our preview video. So I wasn't surprised to see Georgia get a few chances in that game. Unfortunately, couldn't convert them and ended up losing 3-1 on the break. But that was only because they'd sent everyone forward for a corner, including Mamadashvili, the goalkeeper, as well. So don't read into that too much. It was probably more of a 2-1 game. Czech Republic, on the other hand, had a very different task up against Portugal. They were just trying to contain and hang in the contest. And then they scored with what was virtually their first shot. Lukas Provod putting them in front with a fantastic strike from the edge of the box. Couldn't hold on. Cruel on them to lose that game. I thought they defended ever so well. Conceição coming off the bench in injury time to get a winner for Portugal. And on the face of the stats, you would say, a comfortable victory for Portugal as expected. But really, I think the Czechs will be happy with the account they gave of themselves. They're really solid defensively, good shape, good foundations, and they should still fancy their chances of getting out of this group. Of course, with Turkey winning that game against Georgia, this becomes a kind of must-win for the Czechs, really, to set up that all-or-nothing clash with Turkey on match day 3, as we anticipated in the tournament previews. Georgia, on the other hand, they'll be buoyed by their efforts in that first game. They'll have some belief that they can potentially still sneak through as a third-place team if they get a result here. Probably has to be here, doesn't it? Let's be honest, I would struggle to see them getting anything off Portugal in match day 3, even if Portugal rotate. So a crunch game indeed for both sides. The way I want to play this game, Czech Republic are quite strong favourites to come out on top. I did look at the goal scorer markets and was tempted by Patrick Schick anytime around the 2-1 mark, but I'm going for another angle instead. I'm going to split stakes on Czech Republic's two central midfielders to score any time in this game. They're both priced up at 7-1. And the reason that this bet appeals to me is because of the game against Turkey for Georgia. Turkey's three midfielders had a combined 11 shots between them, which is remarkable. That's actually more than a lot of teams are having in entire 90-minute matches. And that was just between their three midfielders. And that probably tells you a little bit about how Georgia are going to play. They're going to sit back in a 5 and a 4 and look to hit on the transition. But what that can lead to is not a lot of space for the centre forward to operate in, as Turkey's strikers found. And it opens up space for midfielders to take shots from range. And that's why I want to play the Czech midfielders again, because 11 shots between three midfielders is a ludicrous amount. And if the Czech Republic approach this game how I see them approaching it, I think Patrick Schick will lead the line. He may find himself short of room, but his link-up play should bring up the midfielders behind him into play. Of course, Lukas Provod, as I mentioned, got a goal in the opening game against Portugal, and a fine strike it was too, so he'll be full of confidence. He can be backed at 7-1 to score any time here, alongside his fellow midfielder Sulc, who's not adverse to a strike as well. They both registered shots in that game against Portugal, despite being under the pump for most of it. So I think if you put half a point on each of the two midfielders to score any time at 7-1, you've basically got a 7-2 runner on them to score any time. And I expect them to have chances against Georgia. Like I say, there might be a lot of long range efforts going in there. And I just thought that was a really nice way of playing this game. So that's how I'll be approaching what should be a pulsating encounter.
Yeah, we'll move on now to the second game in Group F. The other two sides in that group, Turkey versus Portugal, both got off to winning starts, as you touched upon at the start of the video. What are you feeling ahead of this one, Matt?
Well, Turkey were basically rolled on by a home support, weren't they? It was an unbelievable atmosphere in that Georgia game. And I think you do have to factor that in this tournament, that a young team that are very confidence-based on how they perform, to have that huge backing in the stadium has got to be a massive plus for Turkey. And I really liked what I saw from them going forward. I talked at length in the preview videos about Arda Güler's impact, and Yildiz as well on the wing. I thought was electric for them. They really do have an exciting range of young talent in forward areas. However, my worries about them defensively were on show against Georgia. This is probably in Georgia, and not to discredit Georgia, but if you're conceding that amount of chances and XG against Georgia, it doesn't bode well for taking on a team like Portugal. I do think that they'll revert their approach. I think they'll be a little bit more defensive minded here. You'll probably see another holding midfielder come in against Portugal, but I'm not sure that'll be enough to contain a Portugal side that just has an array of attacking talent and likes to dictate the play. I think Turkey will give as good as they get here in terms of going forward, but I just think Portugal will exploit the gaps that we saw in that midfield area. They might have a bit of a frustrating time doing so initially, though. Turkey will, as I say, look to sit in early, I think, and play on the transition. So I see Portugal having a lot of shots, really having to work hard to get the breakthrough, but then maybe having a little bit of fun later in the game. I looked at goals markets under overlines for Portugal, and they are kind of expected to win with a degree of comfort. So the angle I instead visited is a familiar one. It was Cristiano Ronaldo, the man of the moment. Of course, 39, still leading the line for Portugal. And they didn't get off the mark against the Czech Republic, which I'm sure will have frustrated him and his massive ego. We all know that he likes to make things about him. So as much as they got the win, and I do think in his older age, he's finally starting to mellow a little bit in terms of the me attitude. But let's be honest, Ronaldo still wants to get his goals. He still wants to be the centre of attention if he possibly can. And that was perfectly illustrated by him taking 5 shots against Czech Republic, which was the joint highest tally of anybody in the first round of group stage games. And I see no reason why that pattern is going to change here against Turkey, really. He loves to get them away from all angles. We know he's a threat in the box. They started putting a couple of crosses into him late in that game, and his headers were causing all kinds of problems. But he also isn't adverse to taking shots on from range, and he's playing in that direct number 9 role. I don't really see him being withdrawn particularly early in this game, unless Portugal are 2 or 3-0 up. I think he'll get a good 75, 80 minutes, maybe with a view to resting him against Georgia. So I'm going to play his shots line again. And over 3.5 shots is just shy of even money, which I think was, probably the safer option of the two. But why not? I'm going to go a little bit ambitious. Back him to cover that line again. Cristiano Ronaldo over 4.5 shots against Turkey is 7-4. Not sure if that price will last, because most places have it a little bit closer towards the 6-5 region. So quite a big gulf there. Hopefully, as you're listening to this, that 7-4 is still there to be had, because I think that's a fantastic price. It's Bet365 who are currently offering that line. Over 4.5 shots for Cristiano Ronaldo against Turkey is 7-4.
Okay, and to conclude the day, we have the final game from Group E, the second round of fixtures, Belgium versus Romania. Opposite feelings in both camps, I'm sure, after the first games. Matt, do you want to talk us through this one?
Yeah, well, just like with the other game in this group, it's the team we expected to be on 0 points that are on 3, and vice versa. So Belgium, it goes without saying, need a victory here massively. Whereas Romania have kind of given them themselves a chance of progressing regardless of how this match goes. But could come down to goal difference for that third place qualification. So they won't want to ship a load here against Belgium. And of course, they got a 3-0 win over Ukraine, which again could be crucial. They've built up a little bit of a buffer there. Think taking Romania first, the 3-0 victory, what a result for them, but it probably did flatter them a little bit. I know we touched on this in yesterday's video, but Ukraine were the dominant force in that game until the first goal, which came about from an error by Lunin in goal, followed by a stunning strike from Stanchu. So quite an unfortunate goal to concede. It would have been a very low XG chance and an individual error. Lunin then also probably should have saved the second goal. And I was really disappointed with how much Ukraine panicked. They really didn't handle the occasion well. Really, they were dominating that game at 1-0, and they should have just kept doing what they were doing and probably turned it round without many issues, but they didn't. They were putting passes out of play, looked really unsettled. Striker was coming really deep. Dovbyk wasn't in the areas where he can hurt teams. And, Rebrov tried to change it up, brought in like Yarmolenko and some more experienced heads, but they weren't really able to have an impact on affairs either. So very worrying performance from Ukraine. At the time of speaking, I don't know how they've bounced back from that, so I won't go on too much. But Belgium, on the other side of things, I don't know how on earth they lost that game against Slovakia. Again, a brilliant result for the underdogs, but Belgium were registered loads of shots, had 2 goals ruled off by VAR, second one harshly, I would say. And, they lose 1-0, but really there was no shame in the level of performance. And this group stage format, as much as it frustrates us, it does lend itself to a team having a bad day at the office and still being able to get through without any problems. And not only can they still get through Belgium, but I think they could still top this group, to be honest. That does require them to win here. Now, Romania, for all of their 3-0 win, as I touched on, I'm not convinced about them in terms of an attacking unit still. They didn't score many goals coming into this tournament, and just because they've scored 3 in their opener, I don't think they've suddenly become this great attacking force. Like I said, 2 long-range efforts, and they look a bit of a threat from set pieces. But other than that, Belgium are going to absolutely overpower them in terms of attacking talent. Romania do have a stubborn back line, and they do deserve a bit of credit for that. They seem to really enjoy the art of defending. A lot of fist pumping was going in after big tackles and big blocks. So I don't think they're a team that are going to roll over, but I do just ultimately see this as attack versus defence, and Belgium being able to eventually pick their way through this Romanian back line. So Belgium are quite a short price to win this game. But instead, I'm going to play Belgium to win it with under 4.5 goals in the match. I just can't see Romania being absolutely tonked. I think they're too solid defensively. And I think they know as well that losing 2-0 or 3-0 is not a disaster in the grand scheme of things. They can take a 2-0 loss, 3-0 loss on the chin here if needs be. So I don't see them going hell for leather, trying to chase the game if they go behind. They'll probably just stay in their shape, accept it for what it is, take the odd chance from a set piece or a counter. But no, I see a comfortable Belgian victory here. And as I say, the way to play it for me is under 4.5 goals, doubled up with the Belgian win, which comes in at around the even money mark. And I think it's a really fantastic price.
Okay, that concludes Saturday's action. We've spoken through the 3 games there. Please give this video a like and let us know your own thoughts in the comments. You can go and check out all of our daily betting briefings. We're doing both here on the channel and YouTube and also on our website at oddsnow.com. Thank you for watching this video. Best of luck to anyone that is putting any bets on across the weekend. Enjoy your weekend and please do gamble responsibly. We'll see you in the next one.